Um, for people outside of the US, we are required to file taxes every year. I don't know about you. Um, we're required to file taxes before April 15th of the year. And I used to be a part of this economic bracket where you would file your taxes every year, and sometimes you would get a return if you have a W 2, which means that you work for an employer, and throughout the year, they take money out of your paycheck, and then at the end of the year, they give you like a small amount back. And then in 20, I think 18, 17, 18, I became like a business owner in a sense as a hairdresser. So I rent the space that I am working at, and then I am required to pay 25%. But people who are in business understand that what you're supposed to actually do, if you don't want to just directly pay money to the government, you're supposed to show that you can write off 25% of your earnings as business expenses. And I don't know about charities. Maybe that's only for LLC, not sure. But that's the way that we're supposed to file. So when I was an employee of a corporate situation during Obamacare, they had started that whole thing where you're going to get fined like $90 a month or something if you don't have health insurance. And I thought I had it. Turns out I didn't. I didn't actually have it because they dropped me a year prior without telling me. And then, granted, I don't go to the doctor because I'm not sick. Nothing against you if you're sick. I'm not. So, like, I don't go to the doctor. I haven't needed to go to the doctor. Other than one time I wanted some drugs for college and they gave me Strategia or whatever, and it gave me migraines. I could have like limitless brain activity, but it was like you're gonna get a migraine if you fuck up your dose. It was bad. It was experimental, and I quit that shit so soon after, and I virtually haven't been to the doctor since because I don't need to go to the doctor. But I they dropped me from my insurance, so like it inquired like an $800 fee. So like when you do your taxes, you like owe these people $800. Well, I didn't know that I didn't have health insurance, so I actually had plans of opening my own business, being a booth renter, while this was happening. So I sued them. I just did a civil suit with the local authorities or whatever. And then after I did that, people were like, don't even show up because in Texas they always side with the employer, not the employee. Where I came from in New York, it was the opposite, which I wouldn't have known that. But New York and Texas is very opposite in every regard, which is so interesting. So I would have owed like $900 almost because of this corporation's mistake, which I'm not super mad about. In fact, the owner of the corporation was like, I would have done the same thing because it was like managers and the whole systematic BS that was happening that let this shit fall through the cracks, which was going to come on me. And that's not even a lot of money. But I was planning on going private, going independent. So I was like, I don't really want to be slapped with an $800 fee while I'm doing this. So filed a civil suit, and they were like, people were like, don't even show up because Texas will always side with the employer. So that was the last time I actually filed taxes. That's the actual last time I filed taxes and paid was when I paid Obamacare $800 or whatever the fine was for not knowing I didn't have health insurance the entire year prior. And then switched to independent. Now I know I need 25% of my income to give to the IRS, actually not knowing you're supposed to write it off. By the way, I actually was so new to the business that I didn't know that that was the whole point. I didn't know that, but I saved 25% of my earnings thinking I'm going to give it to the IRS. Had every intention of giving it to the IRS. So I go to file my taxes, I think it was 2017. And I do everything I'm supposed to do. I type it all in. I'm doing TurboTax and I'm ready to submit. And at the final end, it pulled up an error screen. It said the number that you say you owe is not the number we have in our files. But the number in their files came from what I put in the screen. So it was like a systematic error. It was like, we say you owe this much, and then you say you owe this much, which was the exact same number. And they're like, it's not the same. So I'll go back and I'll type it in, and I'm like, no, this is the same number. I got it from TurboTax. This is the same number. And they're like, it's not the same number. And shit hit the fan. In life, in general, shit hit the fan. So, guess what? This procedure was out of sight, out of mind. And forever out of sight, out of mind, because shit hit the fan, like in reality, in general. It was like life took different turns here, there, and everywhere. And I had attempted to, had I? Well, I attempted to like be a normal functioning person in society, but there was like a year in between where it was like that was not going to happen. And then COVID hit. And it really wasn't going to happen then, dude, because I went after child trafficking in this area very successfully, by the way. All the while trying to maintain. I got fired from a job because my boss got bullied by people, Illuminati or whatever, Satanic Temple, whatever. They bullied him into firing me. And he was like, at first sticking up for me. And he was like, fuck you guys. You fucking suck. Everyone hates you. Blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously. But then after a while, he's like, motherfucker, Lauren. He's like, these people went to the county bar and they voted. Back in the day, it was a lawless ass land. He's like, these people voted that, they'll all ruin my business. It was 20,000 people, high-powered people. They were all in cahoots that if they ruined my business, whether this is true or a lie, because a lot of times some little stupid minion will like lie and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe it actually went on. Maybe it was all a lie. But he was like, I can't take the risk because I employ too many people. So I knew this was coming. So I, was respectfully like, no problem. Like, I understand. And then I couldn't get hired anywhere. And during COVID, it was over the stipulation of not having a vaccination because I was not vaccinated against COVID. So there was like this reality layering where this, government group of people who like all knew I was on their radar. Don't give this bitch a job if you want a job. Don't give this bitch a job if you want a job. That was the thing. If you were in the like little, what do you call it, business network of like these people that are just like all in cahoots with their own kind of like religious sentiment. But then like the other layer of it was like she doesn't have a vaccination, so you can't hire people who have a vaccination. That's legal. Yeah, but people found loopholes around it. In fact, I did find one salon because I was high-end hairdressing, and she was like, well, I'll hire you, but she's like, I am only allowing the unvaccinated to work at this one location, which was pretty far north. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to travel an hour a day to go to this location because I don't have a vaccination. So, I respectfully declined that. And that was like the last of my options. She's like, you can work for us, but you need to travel to the north location because she called it the problem people, by the way. Back in the day, this was socially allowed to call us problem people. She said the problem people, and I'm not even exaggerating. Because she was like, she didn't say this, but it was like the sentiment is, I understand you don't want the vaccine, but it makes you a problem person. So only the problem people will work at this one location. We're going to sequester them at this one location, which was illegal, but, people did a lot of illegal shit back in the day. And I just respectfully declined, obviously, because I'm not going to do that. That's insane. So I was like relying on like donations from people on my previous channel. Like that one got shut down naturally. Obviously, like my Facebook got shut down. Every Instagram's been shut down. Like everything's been shut down 2 times over. Back in the day, nowadays people think that's so like revolutionary. Back in the day, that was like a normal thing. Think of all these things that were normal back in the day that are not normal now. All the while trying to collect taxes from people back in the day. And now it's like, you know what? Times are different. Attitudes are different. Emotions are different. Everything's different now. So, um, I did get a W 2 job here. I got a W 2 job there. And then when I go into H&R, and that was 2021. So when I go into Jefferson Hewitt today, they were like, well, 2021, that's all expired. So they're like, you had periods of being an independent contractor, you did get W-2s. So I was thinking best case scenario, the expenses would balance themselves out. But nope. They were like, no, whatever W-2 you had from 2021, that's canceled out. So if I were to file, I would have to go through every single thing. Well, it's funny how the W-2s don't expire, but the 1095s as a business. Luckily, everything is digitized. I've had the same bank account. I've had 2 different booking softwares that I can still look back on if we wanted to actually, because I'm interested in actually doing this. I'm actually interested in, because I know I'm not the only one. It's not because of me. It's not because of any like gain that I feel. I'm just interested for the sake of people who are in my exact position, who haven't filed taxes in so many years. And the only thing is, if my loved one were to pass away and I inherited money, they would reflect that. If I wanted to buy a house, obviously you can't buy a house without your taxation. In fact, one of my clients was like, how the fuck did you buy a brand new car? Keep in mind the sentiment of the insanity of that time period that I just talked about. My client was like, how the fuck did you buy a brand new car? Because I did. I bought a brand new car in 2020. And you would think, well, why would you do that? Because of all of this. Well, I did it because I was in a stable position and I saw the writing on the wall. And I did some money magic between me and God that was like, I see the writing on the wall about what these people are trying to do, and I am living in a stable environment where I can easily afford a brand new car. So guess what? I went out, traded out my stuff. They wanted me to trade it in for like $2,500, and I was like, I can put this on Craigslist for or they wanted me to trade it out for like a lower amount, and I was like, I can sell this on Craigslist for double the amount. And I did. I sold my car to a good family that they loved it. They loved the car. And I made like double the amount. And I put that down on a brand new car. Instead of letting them bamboozle me into their trade out value, just sell it privately. You'll make so much more money, by the way. But they were doing everything to let me buy a brand new car. Like, because they didn't care. Because it was like the sicky boo-boo time and they weren't making any money. So they were pulling every stop to allow me to buy this brand new vehicle with the writing on the wall and not the receipts, and not a good idea. And I was like, I'm here for it because this was what I was trying to do. You're not going to do this to people, infringe upon their livelihood, and then expect no backlash in return. So, got the vehicle, and then naturally the pandemic hit. So then naturally I was like, well, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I am just like a little girl having no experience, just not naivety, but I knew what I was doing. And it was a bit of a threat. It was like, you can't do this to people and then expect that everything else is supposed to be paid in full. You can't take away their time and expect them to be paid and expect you to be paid in full. So they didn't get paid in full, and then naturally, there goes that. And then years later, it's like W-2 job here, W-2 job there, living paycheck to paycheck, big time paycheck to paycheck. And I'm like scraping at the bit. And I'm living in downtown Austin in the cheapest, shittiest area. Wigs on the ground, wig snatching on the ground. So I eventually was like, well, you know what? I gotta get out of Austin. And there's a little bit of a backstory where I couldn't even take the bus anymore. Like, it got so bad I couldn't even take the bus anymore because I got busted. I didn't wear a mask on the bus after the governor said you couldn't. I went viral for a video of I'm the girl who got arrested for not wearing a mask on the bus. I'm that girl. I got arrested for not wearing a mask on the bus. And, that was like a $40 if you want fine. I paid nothing. But they didn't give me my court date. And people tell this story all the time. And other people think that they're fucking lying or they're retarded. No. You didn't get a court date. You didn't get the ability to even do anything. You didn't. Again, the same sentiment. A lot of weird shit was going on during this time where people were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted and actually experiencing no consequences. This happened. There was no follow-up. So, a year and a half later, obviously, somehow a warrant gets out. I hired a lawyer with my dad. I didn't hire a lawyer. My dad hired a lawyer. We still never found out what the fuck happened. How the fuck did I have a warrant out for a year and a half? Where did it come from? Still, we don't know. My lawyer ghosted me after trying to get my record expunged 4 times over, trying to get my background check. And I finally was like, dude, I can't get it. For some reason, they won't give me my background check. They will not. I can get a job, right? I can clear a background check to get a job, but I don't know. I suspect it's at the FBI level. I think if you go to the FBI level, it gets like weird and spacey and crazy. And maybe that's the same reason why when I try to file my taxes now and then, 10 years ago, it pulls up error screens. It's error screen after error screen after error screen. There are files on a federal level, and then there are files on an international level. And it's like, I know my reality is weird, and it's documented somewhere else that perhaps my reality is weird. Perhaps my reality is different. Perhaps there's something otherworldly that is, and that's why I don't care. Like, I mean, I care, don't get me wrong, I care. But that's why I'm like, this is why maybe, perhaps, this shit keeps happening. If I'm a human American single woman in the United States wanting to file taxes after 10 years, I should be able to do that with success. With receipts on both ends, balances out, $0 or gains, it should be successful. Because the 10 years of shenanigans, you can't put a dollar amount on it. The dollar amount put on me, you can't get the energy out of. There's something weird that has happened, that has been happening, that needs to be atoned for, perhaps. Perhaps it needs to be atoned for. And perhaps the invitation is me attempting to file my taxes after 10 years. Because it's spiritual. It's not just about the money. It's spiritual, it seems. Don't want to get all weird and woo-woo. But, money is spiritual. This whole thing was a battle. Like, I didn't just sit back, because some people do. They just, sit back, collect money, and then they don't pay. You gotta pay. You gotta pay if you're making it. You gotta pay. But, situation, very nuanced. Very unlikely, very nuanced. And when things finally stabilize, then you gotta trust that they're stable. And now that the trust that they're stable has arrived, and I don't think the government is my enemy, and I don't think that it's a big deal. But it's been very weird for very long, and I can't do anything about that, and I won't. By the way, you can't get blood out of a stone. I'm accustomed to a certain lifestyle. It's not even an extravagant lifestyle. I'm accustomed to a certain lifestyle. I will not change my lifestyle to appease a fictitious debt. I mean, that just sounds silly to say. Like, that's not even a reality that exists. So if anyone believes that, I mean, they're as dead as their beliefs. That's insane. So I'll keep you posted, I think. If you like this content, if you like it, I don't know. What the fuck? Is anyone listening? Does anyone care? Does anyone relate? What is this channel turning into? I don't know. I'm just like telling you what's happening with me in that like arena. I mean, that's like extreme. My regular life is actually pretty normal and pretty heavenly. All right, check you later. Have a beautiful night. Talk to you again really soon.